It's going to be a great event for Rochester.
We're going to have telescopes, we're going to have music, and we're just going to all go out and celebrate.
You need something this strong to protect the eyes.
People from all over the country will be here. Know where you're going to be at that time when the eclipse comes, because there's so much going on.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this 13 WHAM special solar spectacle as we get ready for our region's time in the shadow and spotlight. I'm Dan Schrack. Over the past several years, you've likely seen some of our coverage all building up to the big day, April 8th. It's then parts of our region will be in the path of totality, when the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun all align, turning day into night for up to 3 minutes and 38 seconds. But did you know there are actually 4 kinds of solar eclipses, all of them caused by the normal movement of the Earth and the Moon? But because it takes the Moon about a month to revolve around the Earth and its orbit is on a different plane, the alignment has to be just right for any of them to occur. To better understand how they happen, you need to know more about the distance and size of the 2 main players, the Moon and the Sun. The Sun is about 400 times bigger than the Moon, and it just so happens to be about 400 times further away. Now, when the Moon's orbit aligns in just the right way, it covers the Sun, casting a shadow onto Earth, and that's when we get an eclipse. It's like witnessing a cosmic ballet, all choreographed by the laws of physics. Now, one of the more common kinds of an eclipse is a partial solar eclipse. These happen when the Moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, but only partially cover the Sun. They happen every 6 to 8 months, but you can't always see them from Earth. Another kind of eclipse that we'll talk about here is an annular solar eclipse. They happen when the Moon's orbit puts it at a distance that's just a bit further away from Earth. But it doesn't mean that the Moon covers the entire surface of the Sun. These happen every 1.5 to 2 years and leave us with something like this, the Ring of Fire. Pretty incredible images. Now, the most rare of them all is called the hybrid solar eclipse, each happening decades apart. Because the surface of the Earth is curved, with the Moon's orbit, from your vantage point, they create both an annular and total eclipse, again, depending on where you're standing on Earth. Come April 8th, parts of North America, including the greater Rochester region, will experience a total solar eclipse. These celestial events require precise alignment of the Earth, Moon, and Sun on the same ecliptic plane. They happen about once every 18 months or so, revealing a glorious view of the Sun's atmosphere, the corona. So while they are far less rare than a hybrid, a path of totality over thousands of miles of land is a rarity. For more on that path and the areas that will be seeing that darkness, here's meteorologist Scott Hetzko. Hey, Scott.
I'm going to have to hire this guy. Good job, Dan. Great explanation on the 4 types. I want to focus a bit tonight on 2 different parts of the shadow. One is the penumbra. That's the one that's more common, that more people are going to see. But we really want to focus on this guy, what you're going to be under, the umbra. Let's look at it from above, kind of a bird's eye view here. Now, just because of geometry, you want to be under the center of that circle to spend the most time under totality. But I also want to be clear, I think there's some misconceptions that if you're away from this circle, you're not going to experience anything cool. That's not true. Even in eastern New York, they're going to see 90, 95% of near totality. So it's going to be really awesome wherever you are in western New York, northeastern Pennsylvania, anywhere in our region. So time under totality. Let's take a look at this. So the max totality is definitely going to be northwestern Monroe County, but in the Finger Lakes, because you're under less of that shadow, you're not going to be enjoying it as long as this happens. And by the way, it's only going to be at maximum about 3.5 to 3:45 in any area in western New York. Exceedingly slow, though. It's going to seem like forever when we're under totality. It's going to get dark. If it's a clear sky, it's going to look like evening. It's just going to be amazing. We're just a few days away. I'm very excited, as you might tell. All right, so again, to focus and prove to you why it's going to be so cool to the north and west. Look at Brockport, nearly 4 minutes of totality. 343 there, 341 in Bergen. But look at the difference when you get down into the Finger Lakes. Naples, only 1 minute 43 seconds of totality. Still going to be an awesome experience. But the one that we found that most people know that spend the least amount of time will be in Penn Yan, which is only not even a minute. So we're going to be under a minute of totality there. But again, to be clear, it is still going to have a major impact. We're going to see almost complete totality across the entire region. So Danny, come on back in. We'll wrap a little bit about what we're going to see on April 8th. Please don't ask me about the weather.
Okay.
Because
we won't yet.
Because we just don't know. It's still over a week away. By the time we hit like next Monday, Tuesday, we're going to have a really good idea of what to expect. Fingers crossed, if it's a clear day with like fair weather clouds, by the way, under totality, those clouds will dissipate.
We'll know for sure come April 8th.
We will know for sure by April 9th.
Absolutely. I like the way you think. For many across the region, this is going to be the first time they experience a total solar eclipse. But it's not a first for the Flower City. Nearly 100 years ago, in January 1925, Rochester was in the path when the moon covered the sun, plunging the area into darkness. And at the time, the conditions were far more extreme than we can expect on April 8th.
The weather on January 24th, 1925 was unfortunately horrible. It was 2 degrees out at the time of the eclipse. It was icy, and even though there was some sun in the morning, by the time of the eclipse it had clouded over. So all of those people planning to take photographs were very disappointed.
And in more recent history, just shy of 30 years ago, people were looking up at an annular eclipse that moved along a very similar path to what we'll see soon.
Oh my God, take a look, that's wild.
The annular eclipse arrived in Rochester at 1:25 this afternoon. We all know staring at the sun can damage your eyes, so folks came up with all kinds of ways to watch the event. Rigged up boxes, special glasses, and who's that in the welding shield?
I can't see the sun, there's something in the way.
Unlike either of those events, this time our region is preparing for a massive influx of visitors. Upwards of 500,000 tourists are expected in Western New York in the days before and after the eclipse. The Regional Transit Service says riders can count on their normal bus schedule on the 8th, but the service is also encouraging people to catch a ride on an RTS bus to get to viewing locations, including Highland, Genesee Valley, and Ontario Beach parks.
We think that our service, again, provides a lot of access for our community. We have a lot of service, a lot of routes, and I think people can take advantage of that service to watch the eclipse. It's hard to predict how late buses are going to run that day based on the traffic. It's expected it's going to be heavy traffic, so again, we ask customers to plan ahead.
Now, to help alleviate some of that congestion, the Rochester Museum and Science Center and Visit Rochester are both offering a free shuttle service. Visitors can park at the East End and South Avenue garages and hop on a shuttle, which will run in a continuous loop between the RMSC, George Eastman Museum, the Strong, and the Memorial Art Gallery on both Saturday and Sunday. There's going to be an additional stop at the Rochester Public Market on Monday. In the path of totality, the town of Sweden has issued a temporary order allowing parking on one side of most streets. The town says it's to keep the roads clear for emergency personnel. The order will be in place during the 24 hours around the eclipse. However, parking is prohibited on Ellis Drive, Owens Road, Transit Way, and parts of Timber Trail.
We are the easternmost city in totality. So if you're from Boston, New York, Washington, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, any of those major markets, we're the closest city in totality. We're expecting between 350 and 500,000 people.
And with all those people, hotels and Airbnbs are expected to be filled to capacity. Little more than a week out, and occupancy options are running low. Right now, room rates start around $450 a night, while Airbnb prices are even higher. And some properties have a 2-night minimum.
Interest is picking up. We are fielding more and more inquiries by the day. We're seeing more and more national media coverage promoting Rochester as the best eclipse viewing destination.
When you think about the hotels and stores and food and restaurants and all that, people will come here from within probably driving or even flying distance just to be here when it passes through.
And it won't just be the hospitality industry benefiting financially. The region's creativity is shining too. Over the past several months, we've seen businesses big and small capitalize on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
We're going to do the totality logger, and then Three Heads is doing the darker side, which is actually after the, it's kind of towards the end of the eclipse. And Strangebird, which is one of the newer breweries here in town, doing a really nice job. They're going to do the lighter side, which is as the eclipse starts.
You can get those 3 beers now. Urlaub is also co-hosting the Party in the Dark at Parcel 5 on the 8th. No matter where you're viewing the eclipse, if you're looking up, you're going to want to have a pair of these eclipse glasses. And at least for now, there is no shortage. But you need to make sure they're ISO compliant. That standard means the lenses will protect your eyes. Our friends at the Rochester Museum and Science Center have compiled a list of locations where you can get a pair. We've put a link in the solar eclipse section of 13wham.com. Now, still ahead tonight, the solar spectacle and the spectacular event that will precede it. An exclusive look at the Rochester Philharmonic's Symphonic Celebration. You're hearing some of it now. And that's just one of the many solar eclipse events happening in our area. Here are a few more. Stick around. We're back after this. Welcome back to our solar spectacle. Earlier this evening, we told you about the massive influx of people expected to flood the region as April 8th draws near. In advance of that, the governor's office says New York is ready. For several months, the state has been developing a comprehensive safety plan, working with local and federal law enforcement agencies and emergency services, taking a proactive approach to keep communities safe. This includes emergency operations centers in every county, the strategic placement of strike teams to monitor traffic, and additional aviation and marine assets.
We saw from the last experience many years ago that there were a lot of traffic jams and people running out of gas, and we're not going to let that happen in New York because we're New Yorkers and we'll be prepared.
Homeland Security says the department has been planning for the big day for about a year now and is making some recommendations for drivers. The first is to park legally. You don't want to get a ticket or get towed. Parking somewhere you shouldn't could also keep emergency vehicles from getting where they need to go. This also means don't park on the shoulder of roads. And you should also be prepared with food, water, blankets, and anything else you might need if you're stuck in traffic.
I want to stress the use of 511 that day. 511 NY is a great resource for real-time traffic information. So if you are trying to leave or to get somewhere, we want you to use that as a resource and maybe pick alternative routes too, right? We're all going to want to be using as many paths in and out as we possibly can.
Now, there are some concerns with so many people in the region that cell service could be impacted. But wireless carriers say recent upgrades will keep that from happening. Representatives from AT&T and Verizon have said their respective networks are taking necessary measures to prevent any disruptions. Despite the challenges faced during the 2023 PGA Championship, both providers are confident infrastructure enhancements will prove beneficial.
We are not seeing any actual slowdowns. We don't anticipate any kind of problems.
In the last year alone, we've activated 10 new cell sites, 24 new 5G nodes in the Rochester area, and increased our capacity to no fewer than 127 existing local sites, just in the Rochester area alone. So for what it's worth, our network in Rochester is stronger than ever.
Both say it's probably a good idea to have your phone charger with you just in case your battery runs low and you need to make a call. When we come back, the RPO's principal pops conductor shares with us what went into the creation of this piece you're hearing now, the orchestra's Eclipse Spectacular. One night before the total solar eclipse, the Rochester Philharmonic will present a spectacular event of its very own, a space-themed concert at the Blue Cross Arena, led by 3 conductors, all performing together for the very first time. One of them has spent much of his career in Rochester. He is RPO Principal Pops conductor Jeff Tyzik, and he is here now for an exclusive preview. Jeff, thank you so much for giving us some of your time.
Oh, it's always great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Tell us, if you would, the inspiration behind this event for you.
Well, when a life-changing event happens in Rochester, as we have many times over the years, we like to provide the spirit, the soul, and the connection to human beings through music, our universal way of communicating with people. And we thought we would be part of this event and bring the magic of John Williams and other great composers and music for a space-themed concert, and also involve our incredible artistic partners in Rochester, the Rochester City Ballet, Madrigalia, Push Physical Theater, and come all together to put on a great concert at the Blue Cross Arena.
And there are a lot of organizations taking part for this spectacular one-night-only performance. Tell us about the other conductors, your peers that you're working alongside for the first time.
Well, the RPO has 3 conductors who work with all of our programs. Of course, music director Andreas Delfs, who does all of our Philharmonic Series concerts. And then Gerard Hardiman, who is our resident conductor, a young man who works with our education programs. And he also conducts the Rochester Youth Philharmonic Orchestra and also the RPO on many occasions, so he'll be part of it. And of course, I'm still hanging around after 30 years, so I wouldn't miss this for the world or for the moon.
Or for the moon. Now, this performance will include a piece that was written by you. Can you tell us the inspiration behind this before people hear it?
Well, I've already loved all things space since I was a kid. I saw Armstrong step on the moon. So it's been an incredible, inspiration in my life. And I wrote a suite of music about that. The first movement is called The first movement is called Liftoff. And it's depicting musically a spaceship leaving planet Earth and on its way to the moon. The second movement is the moon eclipse part, and it's my musical impression of the fact that we descend into total darkness, but we are all connected in that darkness. And the last movement is entitled Galileo. And it's a kind of my feeling and impression of wondering what Galileo thought when he looked into the heavens and looked at the moon and started to understand man's place in the universe. So I tried to depict that emotionally through music.
Now, I have to imagine this is something that not only regular symphony goers will enjoy, but because of the variety of music, you're going to see a whole new audience drawn to the RPO.
Absolutely. Well, the new audience, we hope, will be part of the hundreds of thousands of people who may be coming to Rochester to take part in our area of the total eclipse. But there's music for everybody on this concert, from the planets by Holst, Mars, or Jupiter, from Star Trek and Star Wars, and, of course, this original piece of mine. So we're covering, I think, musically, the entire gamut of styles that the orchestra plays. And that's what we're known for. We're known for having really strong programs in our classical series, and our pop series, and our education series, and we try to reach anybody from age 4 to 104.
RPO Principal Pops conductor Jeff Tyzik, thank you so much for your time. Tickets for the RPO Eclipse Spectacular are going fast. Check rpoeclipse.com for availability.
We want people to have a safe and enjoyable experience. We want the country to feel like it's successfully wrangled this massive event, which is like having a Super Bowl in 20 or 30 cities all at the same time on the same day. Everybody knows what they bring to it and how to take their piece of what they bring to it and fit it into all the other pieces.
That's an interview with Dr. Richard Feinberg from a new documentary called The Path to the Path. He's part of the American Astronomical Society Eclipse Task Force. For the past several years, he and dozens more have been helping communities in the path of totality prepare for the big day. Now, we're joined by the co-chair of the Eclipse Task Force, Rochester's own Deb Ross. Deb, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. Now, part of your role is to get the word out about all that's happening in the region. Other than the moment of totality, what can people expect in Rochester?
Oh, so very much in Rochester. We've got so many dozens of events. Can I give you a couple of highlights?
Please.
All right, let's start right in downtown Rochester. We've got all weekend long, we've got the Rock the Eclipse Festival at the Rochester Museum and Science Center, getting all your science on, hands-on activities with an astronaut even on Monday. But you can saturate yourself in science that whole weekend. If you'd like to saturate yourself in a little baseball, the Rochester Red Wings are becoming the Moon Rocks for the weekend, and you can watch them on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday eclipse the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, who are becoming the Space Pigs just for this occasion. And then you can hop into Solar Palooza there at Innovative Field on Monday. Or on Monday, you could head over to the Rochester Public Market if you're a fan of beer, chocolate, or both, and lots of other, eclipse-related crafts and educational activities. That is a free festival happening all day on Monday.
Love that. Tell us what's happening in some of the more rural areas.
Sure, let's head out west to where I will be for Eclipse Day. It's the Solar Spectacle at Genesee Country Village, but they start on Friday. And you can get information about how the folks in the 19th century managed science and eclipses all weekend long, and then head there for totality like me. Or if you're interested in what animals do during eclipses, I'd go to Stokey Farms on Monday. They are having Dark Side of the Farm, but you can also do that on Fridays, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and that's especially good for if you have little kids coming into town who will be all hopped up, ready for this event.
Thank you so much for your time, Deb Ross. And don't forget, a complete collection of solar eclipse resources, along with all of our coverage, can be found in the Total Solar Eclipse section of 13wham.com. We leave you tonight with a musical preview of the RPO's Eclipse Spectacular. Thank you for joining us, and good night.